What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're all having a great day. And if you're new to the channel, want to subscribe button, that would be awesome. Today, we'll be doing some sway bar installs on the Skyline here. Shout out to the boys at Enjuku Racing and Whiteline for the hookup. Here we have the rear sway bar. This beautiful, like Sebring silver metallic for the rear, and then up here we have the front sway bar. So these are definitely an upgrade from what's on the Skyline now, and also these sway bars are about 30 years old, as well as the end links. The rear here I believe is 25 millimeters, and for the front also 24 millimeters. And also a huge shout out to the boys at GK Tech for the hookup on the Skyline's remainder of the front suspension. Let's check these out. So first here we just have some upgraded OEM ball joints for the lower control arm. Second item here is our steering rack spacer. This will add an additional 19 millimeters of steering lock. All right, starting out first here we have our adjustable tension rod. This will help me adjust caster, and this is super thick and very well made. Up here we have our extended 40 millimeter LCA, which also can extend to 65 millimeters if need be. I'm incredibly stoked to be running this. Here we have our front upper control arm too. I already have them on the Skyline, but I don't know the brand, and I think the bushings in it are kind of outdated, so we got that for more camber. And to accommodate the extra length of the LCA, we have our adjustable outer tie rod ends. This will help us get the correct toe angle when we install the LCA. Welcome, boys. Welcome.
Oh, hello. Oh, dude. Hello.
So,
It's been a while.
it has been a while. So here, got the end link. Probably just hit this nut here. Take off this bracket here. Have to drop the exhaust so I can maneuver the sway bar out. Okay, got the OEM sway bar out. Look how puny and dinky this thing is compared to the Whiteline. Again, it's 24 millimeters, and I'm assuming this is only like 20 or maybe even 18. Got the end links out. Easiest way is to hold the middle part with a 10 millimeter wrench and use a 12 millimeter wrench to unscrew from the bottom. Let's go ahead and bolt it right back in. All right, got the Whiteline 24 millimeter rear sway bar in. Routes nicely through the chassis. No issues with clearance at all. Everything bolted right up. Got the new end links in. So, yes, you can see. So, rule of thumb, I put it on the stiffer setting. Should have started with the softer setting first, because that's what they recommend, but this honestly already feels pretty sturdy. So we got the two locking nuts here, the washer, we got the bushing. You want to tie in the locking nut until the bushing starts to compress. It doesn't need to be super tight. Same thing for the top there. Just tighten this locking nut until the bushing starts to compress. And what you want to do too is jack up the wheel to stimulate right height, and then tighten the sway bar. So rear sway bar was a success. Hopefully I did everything right. Jacked up the car. That's when I did all the final tightening of the bolts, torqued them all to spec, but definitely an upgrade from the OEM sway bar. That dinky little sway stick is what the boys and I called it. And then tomorrow morning when I get off work, we will go ahead and install the front sway bar. I'm also waiting on my GK Tech front sway bar end links too, which they are polyurethane. And when I have time, hopefully I can install these this weekend and or in my next day off. Incredibly stoked on this angle kit. GK Tech does make a one-piece angle kit, but I decided to get it in parts so adjustability is easier opposed to taking everything off. I can actually do this too tomorrow if I wanted to, as well as the steering rack spacer, more angle. Until then, I will catch you tomorrow. Back from work, it is the next day. Package came in from GK Tech. Got my front polyurethane end links. Let's go ahead and put this bad girl on. Got the car on jack stand. Go ahead and remove the front wheels. We have to take off the splash guard here. Gotta make sure that none of the bolts strip and or don't lose any. So we have access to sway bar, and yeah, should be as easy as that. So pretty easy to get the end link off. If it'll focus, this is pretty dried up and corroded. The other part of the bushing honestly isn't too bad, but definitely an upgrade when we do the polyurethane GK Tech. So got the splash guard out, just removed 5 screws, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Don't need to remove it completely because getting it back up is a pain in the ass, but we have access now, or better access now, to our sway bars. And removing the brackets. Got a bolt there, and a big bolt right there. Also inspecting my oil pan, everything checks out. I do notice that the rack and pinion is starting to leak, so I have to look into getting it either rebuilt or replaced. I can tell this boot here is corroded as well, but we'll worry about that in a different video. Update, got the OEM sway bar out. A little comparison. It's slightly bigger, probably like 2 or 4 millimeters bigger. The Whiteline, honestly, wasn't that hard to get out. It was more time consuming because you have to remove your front tension rod here to access this bolt here. You can go ahead and leave this bolt in. Pretty straightforward, honestly. Now, a little concerning is fitting the new bushing onto the OEM bracket. I don't think that the front Whiteline came with new mounting brackets, but I'm gonna do my best to fit them on. All right, got the sway bar in. It took about a couple of hours just because I had to recenter it a bunch of times to have the end links line up appropriately. All in all, everything is pretty sturdy, pretty solid clearance. Everything is good. I'm gonna go ahead now and put load on the LCAs on the driver and passenger side, and then tighten the end links, and then tomorrow we'll go ahead and take her out. All right, Skyline back on the ground, lugs all torqued to spec, triple check the front suspension, make sure that nothing was binding. Also rocked the car back and forward a few times to make sure nothing popped or creaked. Also full locked left and right, make sure nothing popped and creaked. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be taking the Skyline out tonight to drive because it is pretty late. I didn't expect this to take too long. Like I mentioned, the front took a couple of hours to do because I had to take off the tension rods and other miscellaneous bolts, but everything is a-okay. Stoked for the next install this Saturday. I'm going to be going to Robbie's place, pushing in these ball joints, and then my next day off, go ahead and install the LCAs, the camber arms, tension arms, and again, the steering rack spacer. Can't emphasize that enough. But thank you everybody again so much for your continuous love and support. And if you're new to the channel and want to subscribe button, that'd be awesome. And remember, aim high, drive low. We'll see you next video. Take care.